But yeah, I'm just surprised that the Swain didn't end up moving a little bit sooner. His now, Jana, no flash.
Heal, flash, auto attack, first blood. Froggy is the one to pick that one up. And Evelyn Bot is in the area. Descent does drop the Rift Guard. They're going to look to engage. It's going to be a Cataclysm getting dropped down, but Vagar got pulled into the Cataclysm, which could be trouble.
Ooh.
Down goes Evelyn Bot. Down goes the Vagar as well. Hugs Descent and the support on the one side, but they're going to be the ones to get engaged on. Ultimate coming off for the Malphite onto the Vagar, but the Vagar is still okay for right now. He's going to try to flash the rest of his team as Evelyn Bot is on the look. The Caitlyn was left all alone on the backside, and no free hugs is now left all alone with everybody else from Farmingdale.
That's game!
Both of them are level 4. No Zillion bombs are available right now, which means French Delta Force is going to be able to get in. There's the flash, but the flag and drag lands, and El Unicornio in a lot of trouble. French Delta Force not able to get the kill. That one's going to go over to Huracan. Vagar doesn't quite know where he is. Has spotted him out. Here comes the Jarvan over the wall. Multiple members over the wall now as they're trying to get as much damage as possible. French Delta Force able to get the first kill. Now, bearing down on to the Xayah. They are going to get revived by the Zillion, but weak side. It just means they're a sitting duck to give more kills.
There's nothing.
Everything.
Yeah, they quite literally.
Malphite getting in there on multiple members here. Weak side is now starting to join the fight here. Oh, somebody's in stasis, somebody's resurrecting, but it doesn't just matter. They're just all meant to die to Vagar. It's a double kill for weak side, a double kill for French Delta Force. They get a kill back.
Leave the old man alone!
But they are going to be able to close out onto the Zillion. The cherry on top for Froggy and Farmingdale State College.
Holding on to this stock at 160.
Oh yeah, both of these guys are just decently heavyweight. Gonna be seeing very large percentages. And the back ear from Matt Fat Mansion to take it right there.
I see it too. Oh, good forward air tipper there. Hope should be able to recover from this unless you get countered. Diggs with a huge opener there.
But Splat says, listen, I need you to get right back off stage. It's nice that you want to get here. You gotta go.
And the block, I think, actually helps Splat there. Again, falling because the second hit of that.
I didn't get to show out last time the way I wanted to. I'll do it.
At the end of 7 regular season weeks and a semifinal, we are ready to crown a champion in the East Coast Conference. It's the number 3 seed Southern New Hampshire Penmen taking on the number 1 seed Staten Island Dolphins on Overwatch 2, and it all starts right now. We say aloha, friends, and welcome inside of the booth alongside Jag Klutchke with you here, and an amazing turn of events for both of these teams here, as one team is perfect the entire way through, Jesse, and the other team coming in with a 5-2 overall record. For the Staten Island Dolphins, the number 1 seed overall, a perfect 7-0, a perfect 18-0 map record in the regular season, and in fact add on their win in the semifinals against Malloy, 21-0 perfection up to this point. Meanwhile, for the Penmen of Southern New Hampshire, they were 5-2 overall in the regular season with a 14-6 record in the maps and with a +8 map differential, but they beat New York Tech in the semifinals pretty handily. The number 2 seed, they go down by a score of 3-0. So the former champs, alongside of a former champ as well in the Staten Island Dolphins, will score off. And now, Jesse, you've seen what these two teams are bringing to the table, but it's a new patch, a new season released just on Tuesday. So what do you expect to see coming out from both of these teams?
Well, that's the thing. We're honestly not sure what to expect. I mean, we have some ideas of what it could be based on the patch notes that just came out recently, but it still could be Brawl. I think the main thing here is we're expecting Sigma's probably not going to be as preferred as that tank. His shield got nerfed quite a bit. The regeneration rate not as strong as it used to be, so he's kind of been out of the equation, but Sigma has stepped up kind of into that role. He got buffed in his Omnic form, so not his Nemesis form where he's pummeling everyone to the ground, but his usual spray and pray with his shield. He now has extra armor that's replacing 100 health, so that makes him a little bit more tanky overall, but also his primary fire is also been increased. It is increased in size as well as damage, so he could still see some Ramattra play, but I think the big thing is dive. I think that's to be the big question. Will we be seeing now teams switch over to the dive? They've had a few days to prepare for this. They've been able to at least scrim on this patch a little bit. Winston got a huge buff now. He can ignore armor, which I think is huge because armor gives you damage reduction for most other tank characters. Now he's able to ignore that. That's going to be huge for his playstyle. Tracer also got a damage increase, so she can do a little bit more consistent damage, a little bit more burst fire potentially. And I think also with the Brigida nerf, it's not a huge one, but the Whip Flail doing 10 less damage, usually Brigida is a pretty good anti-dive character. There could be a lot of potential that we see that dive come into fruition here today.
Yeah, and you were talking about a lot of the different things that were coming up with the Season 8 patch. Other characters as well that gets affected. Doomfist, Junker Queen, Malga, Ramattra, Sigma, Winston. Basically, almost the entire tank line, if you will, gets changed here. Damage-wise, Maze, Soldier, and Sombra, and Torbjorn, and Tracer, all 5 of those. Support line, like you were saying, that Brigida could very well come into play with that damage whip shot reduced as well. So who knows what both of these teams are going to get pulled out. But the first map we will see is Oasis as we head into our very first map. For those that don't know, though, it is a best of 7. It's a first to 4, not just a first to 3 like it was during the regular season. So if it's going to be a 0, it's going to be a 4-0 if anything. But hopefully we don't see that in the upcoming motions. First map we're going to see here is University. Like you were talking about earlier, maybe the Sigma replaces it, and so far the Sigma is what gets pulled out to start.
Yeah, and it's not super surprising. I was saying maybe it gets swapped out, but this is, again, what teams have been playing for months now. And just because a new patch has come out, just because Sigma might be a little bit weaker on this live patch, doesn't mean teams are going to go away immediately from what they've been playing this entire time. I think the most interesting thing between these two teams, looking at the VODs, is that Southern New Hampshire has almost run this exclusively, and sometimes they've swapped out Bastion for a Soldier. Staten Island has been a lot more unique in their playstyle, a lot more adaptable in the different comps they play. They've played a lot of dive with Doomfist as well, actually, as Winston in the past. So I think that will be the difference maker later on. But for now, it's definitely going to be a Brawl because it's University. University has always been the home of Brawl.
Yeah, so this is up close and personal so far. Maywall trapping Cammy already on that Sigma, having to be healed. I'm already having to bring out the Immortality Field thanks to the shred of the Bastion. Fives also falls also low, and that Immortality Field gone, but it's still going to be Staten Island that is able to pull out the kills. 2 already onto the Baptiste, as well as the Bastion. They backed him off. It's the Dolphins getting the first touch.
I really like how Staten Island played that. Even though Cammy got walled off, even though they were isolated for just a little bit, they were able to use all their abilities to their best potential. They had the shield up long enough, and they're able to bring out their grasp, getting some damage up, and then finally when they fall weak, that's when the Immortality Field gets thrown out. It lets Staten Island then restabilize once the wall comes down from New Hampshire. Now they get that first capture, and they already have a few ultimates on the board. The Gravitic Flux is ready to go.
Gravitic Flux is ready to go. Gravitic Flux will go up into the air. McFistoff's already got the gamer tag at the same time. 3 kills already falling for the Dolphins here, and this is pretty much going to be all but done. 1 ultimate is pretty much all they would need to start this one off, and they have 2 in the bank coming up on a 3rd, so the Dolphins looking pretty dang good right about now as they stall out the Sigma.
Yeah, the stagger is phenomenal. That is going to give them at least another 10% on the point. Like you said, only 1 ultimate use, so they're keeping their ultimate economy very healthy. Southern New Hampshire is still struggling to build up their own ultimates. All they have so far is Amplification Matrix from the Baptiste. Everything else is still trying to get online. Fives specifically, unfortunately, quite a bit behind on their ultimate. So Southern New Hampshire is not going to be going out of much. They might try to use too much here to force it because they've already given up half the point.
Blizzard's going to go as well as the knockoff off of the field. Yes, Dino Tank does get the kill with the Blizzard, but it's going to be the poop off the mark anyways. One Trick's going to use the sound barrier to no avail. This is all the Dolphins right now that have this in their command. Yes, they use 3 ultimates there, but who cares? SNHU has to make the comeback here with 2 of their own.
Yeah, it's a bit expensive, but they get out the sound barrier as well as the Amp Matrix, so double support ultimates for New Hampshire, which means they won't have that later on. There's still going to be a sound barrier on the side of Staten Island, which might actually be the best ultimate to have in the game right now. It will counter basically everything that Southern New Hampshire is trying to throw at you, at least in individual occurrences. That's going to be the Gravitic Flux first, though, and the beat's going to be used to counter it.
He gets dropped. already, and you're going to see One Trick taking out Chongyun with that sound wave. So that's a good start here if you're the Penmen. Something of momentum, if you will. And now they're just going to try to rush them down. No more ultimates needed to be used either because you've already got one person down. SNHU will start to run the board here as they've already got a noob down. That's a big healer. Sojourn being chased down. It will hit the overtime clock regardless. Penmen stay alive, but the Dolphins have it in one-fight territory.
Unfight territory indeed, but they didn't get as much out of that as you wanted to. You did stall the 99%, so that's all you need, like that one fight as you just mentioned, but there's still DPS ultimates on the side of New Hampshire. They're actually pushing really aggressively. They get Cammy and the Immortality Field out, so that's a fight one before the fight even starts. Then Noob falls as well. This is actually becoming pretty disastrous for Staten Island. Sure, one fight territory, but they could lose that lead very quickly if they continue to play like this.
Yeah, they're using the Sojourn right now to counteract the Bastion, and unfortunately on the defensive end, that Bastion, if it's shielded and it's protected, that can shred you down almost immediately. There's going to be the artillery coming down to see if it finds anything. It will not. Everybody either slides away or jumps and moves away at the same time. So one ultimate gone that you got to worry about. The big one, though, is going to be this Blizzard that comes up. It is going to be the Gravitic Flux that comes up. Immortality Field having to be dropped, and that falls everybody else so low. Cammy, though, falls into the Blizzard, and now Cammy's in so much trouble here that it's already 3 kills falling, and the Penmen have it to 50% and more.
And One Trick has been playing phenomenally. We talked about the Sound Mirror before. It was an advantage to Staten Island, but One Trick's already built theirs up. They already have it, and they did not have to use it for the Gravitic Flux that was just used on the other side by Cammy. They used Immortality Field instead, and ability will get back much quicker. So Southern New Hampshire, despite being down 99-0 at one point, they're actually in the driver's seat, but they do lose their Mei.
Yeah, the driver's seat may not be for much longer. They throw up the wall just a little bit too far. Sound Barrier, though, is going to come into play. That forces them back. That forces them out of the choke point for a couple of moments. And, in fact, that makes sure that the Amplification Matrix almost gets no value whatsoever. Bioactive, though, speaking of no value, try to pop what they can on that overclock, but gets nothing out of it. Noob is able to trade out that for Dino Tank, though, so the tank for the DPS you might want to take at any point. Staten Island able to flip the point in the meanwhile. You get rid of a big amount of damage, which is the Bastion. 5s is gone, and now you're just hoping that this Baptiste is gone at the same token. May's going to stall out for as long as they can, but with no crowd freeze either, this is going to go down pretty easily. And so the 99% to the 77% will turn into 100 for the Dolphins. Staten Island takes the University pretty early on, but the fight's not done just yet. As I say that, Gravitic Flux is up. Sound Barrier is going to have to be invested at the same time. Can anybody make it back? It will be the Soldier that is there. Soldier touches, but now that's pretty much going to do it. 100 to 77 for Staten Island to start us off.
A good comeback from Southern New Hampshire, but they could not get the job done. And I think a big part of that was these double support ultimate usages that we've seen from them. We saw it actually already earlier on, and they lost that fight pretty handedly. They lose it again near the tail end of University, and that one is much more costly. Like I said, they were in the driver's seat for most of it. They actually had the ult bank advantage, but they panicle. They use this Sound Barrier immediately, but then they also try to use the Am Matrix after to create space. Instead, they get pushed back onto the point. They don't get value. It gives Staten Island the perfect opportunity to set up an Am Matrix of their own. And once they win that fight, it doesn't matter how many bodies can be thrown at the point. It's just done and dusted. Southern New Hampshire now has to bring it back here on this second point of Oasis, or they're going to go down 2-0 on map 1.
Yeah, 5s is going to bring out the Sojourn. Krumrun is going to stay on the Mei here, so it'll be mirror compositions on either end, and it'll be mirror positioning on either end as well. So we're going to have the top flight of stairs catwalk fight. But the main wall that goes up first is going to be Chongyun's, and that's going to work out in so much wonder. Cammy actually takes Dino Tank. I believe that was off the map, if you will, with a rock. Either way, it launches them off, and it's going to be a fight advantage. Although, One Trick's on the other side of Noob, playing on this wall right now, trying to see if they can get any other sound waves and booms off the map. Maybe that Mei is off the map. We don't know yet. Mei stays up for right now. As for the percentages-wise, One Trick is just running this down inside of the back line, but percentage-wise, Staten Island has the ultimate. It's almost their advantage in the bar-wise. Right now, it's anybody's fight, though. Bioactive getting rid of 5s is going to be a big pick. You get rid of the Lucio, that's another big pick as well. That backs them off for the current moment. And Staten Island, yet again, gets the first touch on this.
I'm really surprised that fight was almost turned around. A great job again by Southern New Hampshire. But when they lose their tank right off the bat, you think, oh, that's just over. That's the fight win for Staten Island for sure. But they're able to separate Staten Island well enough where they're able to fight that out for a while. Again, they do end up losing it, but the fact that they don't give up that capture right away means that at the end of the day, Staten Island's only going to get about 20% on the board before that next fight happens. And the ultimate advantage really isn't there. Staten Island last time around had a huge ult bank already built up going into that second fight. Pretty even this time, so there's really no advantage.
Disadvantage here for SNHU, though, having to try to play upstairs, and now this Sojourn gets such a great positioning on what they were trying to push on with this overclock. It's in so much trouble now. Has to power slide away, but Chongyun's, or actually, I should say, Cammy is stuck inside of the Blizzard. Is frozen out for right now. Immortality Field can only save you for so long. Bio actually, though, was able to flick onto Crimron's body, and that is gone. But still, the fall's turning into the favor of the Penryn right now, as it's a scrum fight left and right, as you will see. And now the Blizzard being invested by Chongyun, but that might have just won them the fight here, as this Lucio fighting for their lives just to stay on. You're going to have the Sojourn right behind you, just trying to play on time here. And One Trick able to battle off with Chongyun. Yes, you've got the Baptiste left to go, but your stall is immense here from both sides, as they have to back off for right now, getting the rest of the team. They invest the sound barrier at the same time, though, and this fight will continue on.
That's a free Gridic Flux, so once you see the sound barrier being used, you know it is your go button with no Baptiste in the area, but at the same time, the overclock being used, and it's actually Southern New Hampshire that might have turned this around at the end of the day.
They might have 3 kills already falling down for SNHU. It's just the Baptiste and the main left to go. The main, no cryo freeze. Baptiste, no more hops, just the wall left to go to stall out. 80%, a similar situation where Staten Island started it off with a big percentage. SNHU is able to flip this right back.
And it's good, though, because it's at 80%, not 99%, so if they lose this, they're actually a chance for a recontest for Southern New Hampshire, so it's not the end of the world just yet. But look, can we just talk about that last fight? It was like 2 minutes of just continuously people contesting the point, using ultimates, just going back and forth. But Southern New Hampshire, with this overclock from Vibes, really turned it around, and now they finally have the advantage in positioning as well as actually capturing the point. Gravitic Flux could be used at any moment now, too.
Yeah, no ultimate available for the supports, and that's a huge Flux. 4 people up inside of the air, and it finds at least one, although it could be all for nothing. The gamer tag is down, so that means a big chunk of your healing's down, and no more Lucio either in the process, unless it's One Trick that's trying their best to move everybody away. But the aim right now will bioactive, and the overclock is going to get popped at the same time. Blizzard just to save some face. If you can get rid of them, if you get rid of the May, you've got a chance here, as the May just stalls out for the current moment. Crowd freeze having to be used. It'll freeze out, and it's more or less likely that they're going to hold on to this. No more chances here for Gamertag to even come in with this Kiriko, as it's one fight territory for the Dolphins.
And that's disastrous. The Kiriko swap is a good idea in theory if you can actually get there in time, but the fact that they run in, end up giving up their life. I talked about that one fight territory that they still have. Now they've got to wait. It does look like they can speed back into this, so it's not, at least they'll get a chance to contest, but still, that's a lot of percentage you're going to give up, and now it is last fight territory for you.
Well, let's see, overtime clock does approach, and the overtime clock's starting to bleed away. Somebody's got a touch here, which they finally do, but now One Trick is gone, and now the big parts of your team is gone. Fives is down, One Trick is down, one of each roll now down, as Staten Island starts to clean things up. They are looking to win map number 1 pretty much in confidence. 2-0, 100-52 in your final map here, and it's all going to be Oasis headed to the number 1 seed.
And it was not an easy battle whatsoever. CSI, they won it at the end of the day, but they did not have their opponent just roll over and give it to them. They had to fight for every inch. Those back and forth just battles that we saw, the back and forth fights that we saw, like on that second fight here on Gardens, was insane. The fact that they just kept going back and forth before finally Southern New Hampshire took capture shows that this is going to be an absolute bloodbath throughout the rest of the series. But I think there's an expectation that even though CSI is the number 1 seed, that might not mean they're their favorite. Southern New Hampshire, they've won this league 4 times. They've won it back-to-back previously, and I believe it was, gotta look at my notes here, fall 2021 to spring 2022. So, they've done the back-to-back. They are the defending champions coming into this, I believe. So they have a chance to do it once again, spring 2023 to fall 2023. And now they've brought this roster that's not the same as the regular season. They've bolstered a little bit. They've added players that might be more per diem starters, in other leagues. But in this league, they've been playing more of reserve players potentially. But even with this, new and improved roster for ECC, they are not winning this one out. They did not win map 1. And CSI, who has only won once in the past, are already starting off 1-0. So this is a huge momentum boost for them.
You were talking about previous champions overall as well for SNHU. Four-time former champions, of course, fall 19, 21, spring 22, 23. If you're looking at the last time Staten Island was able to get the championship here in Overwatch 2, look back in last year's fall 22, beating NYIT 3-0. And that was without Southern New Hampshire. Both of these teams playing against each other once. So we'll get to find out what comes up of this game. We'll pull up the stats right now, actually, from Kami 101. This was from Staten Island on the tank side. And you talk about a big tank game from Cami 101. This was 30 eliminations, 10,000 damage dealt. I believe that Sojourner is not supposed to be there. That is Sigma instead. Yes, it was. 10,000 damage dealt on 30 eliminations, and the ult used as well. 3 ultimates may have been used, but my oh my, those ults were pretty big for them in the process of that entire game, because you realize that Gravitic Flux can change on a dime whenever you play the fight.
Yeah, if you can force out utility and abilities and use your Gravitic Flux, like, it is such a game changer. I said it in the moment when it happened, but on Guardians, what happened was that they saw the sound barrier was used by One Trick, so Kami said, all right, free Gravitic Flux for me, and that essentially helped them win the fight. Again, it was another very stalled out fight, a very elongated fight, but they did end up getting at the end of the day. So being able to see when your opponent maybe oversteps or uses an ability at a time when they shouldn't, and then be able to use that Gravitic Flux at the perfect moment is huge, because once they land, you know, it's going to lower their health significantly, or if they're already at half health, it's an instant elimination. So that ultimate from Sigma is still very useful.
Yeah, so we get to see what map they are going to pick up next, and I believe is what we are being told right now. Blizzard World is going to be the pick up here for this losing team of SNHU. So for those that don't know the rules here in the ECC, what we have in the finals, again, best of 7, aka the first to 4, because we say first to 4 unless this hybrid map somehow ties here. But we go on to what is the picks of, you can pick any map you want so long as it's in the competitive pool, so long as it's within the setting as well. So you can pick any map you want so long as you do not pick more than 3 of the same map type in the entire series. So you cannot have control more than 3 times, although I know some people would like Lijiang Tower, or Lijiang Tower, Oasis, Helios on the same thing. That would be your three map limit right there. No Busan or anything else. So same thing with any other map type in the potentials for right now. So Blizzard World is going to come up next, which means 1 hybrid, 1 control in the bag so far. And so for a hybrid, I mean, we saw the Sigma, we saw Blizzard, or we saw earlier on with this Sigma Bastion, or Sigma Sojourn, May, Lucio, Baptiste come out at the same time, but does hybrid change anything, or do you expect to see the same process here?
You know, it's interesting because going into this, I expected Southern New Hampshire to actually be the better Sigma Brawl team if they were going to have to play the mirror against CSI, just based on what I had seen previously. I mean, we did see that they also tried the Bastion at one point. I think Five is actually struggling quite a bit to find value, which is why they went to the Sojourn, and then it was the 5v5 mirror. I think if anything, like, you're hoping that you see a swap from CSI. And if anything, like I would have said, I hope CSI swaps, but seeing them win the mirror, maybe not. One thing I saw from them that I mentioned earlier was that they looked really proficient at Doomfist Dive. Doomfist did get buffed. We talked about Winston, but Doomfist also got some buffs. His ultimate actually is a bit more expensive, but now that he can heal in it, it's a very good escape tool, which lets him potentially be full strength coming back into any sort of fight. Just, you know, jumps up into the air, invulnerable for a little bit, comes back down. So you could see that Meteor Strike being much more impactful, but we also saw them play Winston Dive. And as we mentioned before, Winston now does ignore armor in certain situations. So that would be huge in being a tank killer, as we talk about in certain situations. Like Reaper is a tank killer because he does a lot of upfront damage, but now Winston ignoring armor could do that as well. But in general, my answer is I don't think things will change. I think if things aren't going well for CSI, for Staten Island, maybe they would swap it up. But you're winning the mirror. You don't have to. So, no, I think we're going to see exactly the same thing we just saw.
Well, let's see if we're going to see the exact same thing. We're going to go on to Blizzard World here. And interesting fact that we're going to have for Blizzard World for hybrid maps at the very least is that we may see the winter map, if you will, for Blizzard World. And happy holidays, everybody, first and foremost, as we hit the holiday season. I know Thanksgiving just passed about a week ago, and we see December 8th currently about 13 days, or rather, 17 days away from Christmas Day, of course, 24 away from New Year's Day as well. So happy holidays to one and all. And yes, we're going to see the winter map here in Blizzard World. I think out of all the winter maps, don't get me wrong, I think out of all the winter maps, this is probably my favorite one.
You know, I actually like Kings Row better, but I respect your opinion on that. I've been celebrating Hanukkah. It just started last night. So, you know, it's the holiday season. I'm just happy to, you know, be here. It's that time of the year where everyone's having a good time. I think Kings Row is a better map overall, or it's a map I prefer at least. And maybe that's my bias towards why I think it's a better holiday map. But regardless, it's really cool to see the festivities come out to play here in a grand final like this. Hopefully it brings a bit of joy to Southern New Hampshire, who are finding themselves on a bit of the back burner. We do see a Genji. Are they going to keep this? It looks like yes. So the one thing this changes is that, you know, they're not going to be going for walls. They're going to be going for that execution with his dash. So if they get someone weak, they just want the Genji to get the E. Then if they dash through and they get the elimination, they get the reset. So that can be a bit of a chain of events where you just get a bunch of eliminations like E, you know, over and over and over again. But the May and the value she brings, I feel like, is huge. So I'll have to see if this is actually going to play out the way they want it to.
I was going to say that Genji proves so much.
There
When
it
you
is.
talk about the execution right there, Mephistoff is gone. However, one trick gone at the same time, and also a lot more members gone as well. So yes, the Genji gets one, but in return, Staten Island sends back 3 to the spawn, and Kerman with only 27 health isn't going to survive for much longer thanks to the disruptor shot. So only 45 seconds in, and Staten Island puts up a fence.
And it is a good pick to get the Lucio, but in that comp, I think you're going for the Sojourn, you're going for the Baptiste. Those are like probably the 2 most crucial and squishy picks. Obviously, if you can get the Sigma, that's great. Winning or getting a tank off the board early is almost always a fight win. But there, you know, Lucio, maybe you don't have speed, but you still have all that primary healing that the Baptiste can do. They're going to make more changes actually in get off the Lucio of their own. We did see the change recently that you only get 15% all charge now after making a swap mid-match. They're going to go for the Kiriko, so they will have that Suzu, which can give them a little bit of invulnerability for just a moment, but no speed means it's really more of a poke comp now. They're going to have a really hard time engaging fully onto the much more movable comp on the other side from Staten Island.
Well, let's see right now is 2.5 minutes left to go. They're trying to push up onto this lane right now. Chongyun does have Blizzard available. Chongyun gets away from right now. Disruptor shot takes him all the way down to 90 health. Good thing you have the cryo freeze for just a couple of moments. Vibes and Dino Tank both go down. And this is looking a little worse for wear if you're SNHU right now, because you do have some ultimates coming up on the board, but so does Staten Island. They don't have to waste anything to win this.
No, they don't, and that is so huge. We already talked about how good they were of their ult bang on control, but here they are being astounding, complete idea of the fact that they've already won the fight. They don't have to use anything. They don't have to waste anything. Just great restraint for them. They've killed 2 minutes off the clock. You know, if they use 1 ultimate per fight, they could just completely full hold this. So we're going to have to see if that comes out and actually they're able to do something as amazing as that, have that much restraint and patience. But there is at least something from SNHU. They still have at least the Baptiste ultimate. They actually now have Genji Blade as well. There's going to be no nano attached to it, but they could try to use some way to pocket it. But it's going to be the Gravitic Flux on the other side first.
Yeah, but the Immortality Field stops that for a little moment, though. Chongyun and Cammy are just going to surround them, along with the Blizzard, just for insurance. Fives gets Chongyun, but who cares? Cammy gets 3 kills, 4 kills on the final blows. Can you make it an ace? Can you make the final blow ace? No. Nubis is going to jump around the corner and save 4 out of 5 is enough for Cammy. And 1 minute and 15 seconds left to go. Crimin also using the blade, so for SNHU, 1 less DPS ult coming up, but they still decide to stick on it.
I mean, it's kind of valuable because it almost turns the fight around. They did see that Crimin got 2 picks, and you think, okay, well, if we had a Lucio here, we could actually speed into this and take advantage of those late eliminations that we got, but because they don't, it's going to be a full team reset. Staten Island, they've got everyone back, 3 ultimates on their side. There will be an ult advantage on their side, and they're going to use the Kitsune Rush immediately, and the Sound Barrier are going to come out as a counter.
Sound Barrier comes out as a counter, but Crimrun getting Noob at the same time, so the Sound Barrier for right now goes for nothing, as One Trick's able to take care of Mephistoff. No more support left to go for the Penman. This is all instinct here from Staten Island if they want to win this fight. Noob doesn't get a chance to use the App Matrix. SNHU does not look like they will get another chance to touch unless the Sigma wants to try. 30 seconds left to go, though. You take what you can get, though. 3.5 minutes gone. That's not terrible. Do they want to contest this, though? I think they do. They're going to try for this, and they will get the touch. However, will this be half for nothing? As Mephistoff does go down at the same token. They force out the Gravitic Flux, yes, to try and stall out at least a little bit more time. It's going to go for waste, though. 2.5 added to SNHU's time.
I like the idea of the attempt, and I think there actually will be a chance for them to, again, get out of this, or at least the 2 remaining members, because, again, no Lucio speed boost, so they are very immobile on the side of SNHU right now. But I just think the execution is a little bit sloppy, unfortunately, for this side of Staten Island. They kind of run in, they have to throw out their Immortality Field really early. The AM Matrix isn't really actually able to find much use. And now they're getting pushed back. They give up this high ground. You give up a lot of that early part of the second point. It's just going to be moseyed on through by the cart. So it's a good idea. Doesn't plan out the way they want to. If they can retake this high ground, it's not the end of the world. You can see how far away their Baptiste is because they were the last elimination. They're still trying to get back. They're going to use the Gravitic Flux, though, actually, right off the bat on this high ground.
Yeah, but the Immortality Field dropped at the same time. Cammy gets stunned, but it's going to be too little too late on that. It drops, and now it's a 5v2. Look at the positioning, by the way. 4v2. It is going to be Dino Tang and the Gamer Tag that just gets swarmed all around by everybody else, and that's going to leave the Kiriko and the Genji to their own devices. Fives is able to get Bioactivish, traded that out right away. But you saw the positioning, thanks to our Observer Cool Scoot for getting that, because it was just a swarm onto them.
Yeah, but they might be the ones getting swarmed now. You can see Noob is in the possible crosshairs of the side of SNHU, but no, actually they back off. They want to go for a full recontest instead, so they could have caught the Baptiste out. Instead, they have their Suzu forced out early, and now they're kind of back to the drawing board, so some potential blunders, but actually they do get one at the end of the day. Still that first pick onto the Lucio.
And Mephistoff gone, so now advantage goes on over to SNHU. There's going to be the wall that only blocks at the Immort field or the App Matrix for so long. Both of them get out of there for right now. The Blade's going to get popped with no nano boost, and it's not even going to matter. Bioactive takes care of Krummer, and as soon as that Blade pulls out, that Blade goes for nothing. Not a butt. SNHU still on the advantage side. They pull up the Kitsune Rush to try to counter this out for right now. It goes all the way down to the ground, which means advantage down for SNHU on the current moment, as it's just going to be Fives running down Bioactive for the trade here. And now it comes down to what is a fight territory. Gravitic Flux is going to get pulled off. It's huge. 4 people up inside of the air, and Fives is going to go down. Immortality field might not even matter. The Gravitic Flux might have just changed every single possibility. SNHU backs off, or they're going to have to keep playing this, which they do. Gravitic Flux also comes up from Dino Tank. Is this going to be enough? 4 meters makes the difference. Dino Tank's able to get rid of Cammy thanks to the accretion for right now, and it's just going to be Krummer just trying to find a dash at all costs. Sound Barrier is going to be invested by the Tracer to make sure, or by the Lucio, excuse me, to try and make sure that the Tracer stays alive at all costs. 10 seconds left to go. Mephistoff gets 2, and that might just be the end of it here. They get rid of Fives. There is no more chances left for this team to even touch, and only one chance left is the Kiriko, who uses the protection Suzu just by themselves right now, but that overtime clock is going to bleed, and no more chances left for SNHU.
Do get the Immortality field, but into an Amp Matrix, as well as the Genji that we've seen Changyoung swap onto little by little, player by player. It does seem like they'll fall. The stick, it's not going to get the final elimination onto the Wrecking Ball, but it will do a lot of damage. And again, these bodies, they're being thrown at the point, but SNHU, they are finding absolutely nothing, no matter how hard they try. And it's going to be a 2nd-point hold for Staten Island.
What an amazing play overall, and so... Oh, it's a big stall, and we were talking about this, you and I, earlier, right? That they were stalling for so long here. Unfortunately, it doesn't amount to anything when you talk about the potential from SNHU. So now, for Staten Island, all they have to do is basically complete 2 points, and they've got this entire map. But Jesse, this is SNHU. I mean, former champions 4 times, like we said earlier. Staten Island looking pretty dang good to take their 2nd.
Yeah, and I think it's a combination of Staten Island, like, even when they're in these kind of pressure situations, they don't overcommit too much. And I think it's SNHU just misplaying their hand a bit. The Blade, it could be so impactful. We saw that even a Dry Blade can do quite a bit. I think the big combination here is you want to use it with the Kitsune Rush. It's not going to give you the same sort of extra damage as well as, you know, that's the best way to describe it. It's not exactly a damage reduction. I guess it is damage reduction. You know, you get, like, you take less damage overall, the nano boost. But Kitsune Rush, the fact that you have that increased speed, that increased rate of fire, it does give you at least something to work with where you can just slice and dice through everyone. But a Dry Blade on its own, when everyone's still alive, is going to feel really, really bad. So if they want to continue running this Genji, which it looks like they don't want to, I'd have said that's the combination. Instead, they want to go towards this poke Sigma comp. So the difference here is that you're not trying to run into people, you're trying to stay away. That Zenyatta Discord will be huge, but also just in general, the Zenyatta damage with those volleys, with his primary fire, can do quite a bit, as long as you can keep Staten Island at range. But they'll still have the Lucio, they can still run straight into you.
I was laughing, if you heard that, by the way, I was laughing because I thought Changyoung was going to pull out a Summer. All of a sudden, it was just a curveball.
That would have been really cool.
That would have been fun to see. And then SNHU, like you were saying, pulls out the Zenyatta. I like to call this Babsen the circuit special, if you will, for supports, because that's what you normally would see. However, they try this on Blizzard World. Let's see if this pays off. And for right now, they get rid of the Immortality field, and Bioactive gets rid of Fives. No more help to support you out for right now. Yes, you've got Grimrun trying to freeze them all down. Changyoung, though, still hitting heads with these icicle secondary fires. And right now, it is just SNHU praying that they can somehow stall this like they did on the first point. They got held to 30 seconds remaining on their attack side. It's not going to happen for Staten Island's attack. They're going to get over 5 minutes here if they get this right.
I like the idea of going for the poke comp, trying to play at range instead if you're not winning the mirror of the Sigma Brawl. But the issue is I don't think the Mei worked as well in this. I do like to swap back onto Genji. The issue of the Mei is that you're usually trying to cut someone off and then run into them. Here with the Mei wall, maybe you're just trying to stop them from running through the choke so you can reposition. But they'll still have the Lucio speed. They can still break the wall pretty quickly. So the composition for Staten Island just working much more in their favor. Now one trick. You can see, like, they've been kind of caught out a little bit. They're taking a lot of damage. Zen is a bit of a glass cannon, so they have to be careful. And look at how far back SNHU has to play this. They can't even play on the main high ground in the middle of the map. They have to play back towards their spawn side.
Blizzard available for Changyoung's going to drop down, see if they can maybe get a behind, or they group up with the rest of the team. Immortality field first now used by Noob. That goes away. Payload didn't move for quite a long time there. They were just fighting for their devices up top, and that takes away 40 seconds off the clock before they finally get 2 or 3 on card to move this up. So now you have a lot of ultimates. Overclock available, Blizzard available as well. Southern New Hampshire's got the app matrix, will come up on 20% to what could very well be a big transcendence. We'll find out what gets pulled out. First is going to be the Blizzard, and now it's going to be the Grid Flux to also go alongside of that Blizzard. That's going to drop Needle Tank down and drop Needle Tank out of this fight. Chongyun also goes down in the process after throwing that Blizzard, though. Cam is going to go up to about 300 health, but that might not matter with the Orb of Discord on them. App Matrix is there. It's going to be the Transcendence, but Gamertag is not caught inside of it. That also gets countered out by the Sound Barrier at the same time. And Bioactive fighting for their lives, but gets 2 on the overclock, and this might just spell trouble.
Oh, this is looking very disastrous. The cart has continued to move. They played the high ground perfectly. They kept the fight up there while the cart continued to get progress. Now they're going to have to just try to throw bodies, but the accretion stops the enemy Sigma from touching. And just like that, Staten Island is halfway to getting their second ever ECC championship.
What an amazing play here from Staten Island. 2-1 your final on Blizzard. 2-0 on Oasis. 2 points is the name of the game here so far for the Dolphins of Staten Island, the #1 seed, keeping perfection so far. They are on a record of 23-0 on map record if you include the playoffs so far. So the Dolphins off and running here, and I should say off and swimming, if you will, out into the deep blue that is the East Coast Conference Championship game. And so far, so good for CSI. SNHU is going to have to figure out what to do. So remember, it is a first to 4, so they still have a little space of time, but to figure out what's going on, they're going to need a lot more than probably 2 games to figure out, because this is going to be pretty difficult considering the way that Staten Island is playing right now, Jesse.
Yeah, it's not do or die quite just yet because of that extra map buffer that CSI will have to win to get to that 4 maps to actually claim the championship. But it has not been good, and I think one person that really has been setting the pace here for CSI is going to be that DPS player in Bioactive, looking really, really good on the Sojourn. You saw at the very end, they got the overclock. They got 2 kills that really helped levy that fight. But overall, they have just been an absolute factor. I think in general, CSI has just been playing really well with their rotations, their ult usage, and all of that good stuff. Sometimes I feel like DPS almost feels like, it's not the most impactful factor, I feel like, with the way Overwatch 2 works in certain situations. But when you have someone who's dishing out damage like this and getting this many final blows, 13 out of the 24 total eliminations, you know that they are doing their part.
Yeah, doing their part indeed. And well, it's just an unbelievable game so far from Staten Island. We'll see if the penmen of SNHU can make the comeback. Meanwhile, we will see swaps as well as map changes. We will not see a repeat of Hybrid. We will not see a repeat of Control. Instead, I think, to me, this is a little bit of a curveball because we're going to go to Pushy instead. Remember, any map choice can get picked, so you would think that maybe Comfort picks in Hybrid, Escort, or Control would have been a pick, but no, they're going to throw the curveball here. The penmen are going to throw Colosseo out and about as our next map. Also, another swap to talk about here. Gamertag is out. Dwums will go in, or D-Wums. I don't know how to pronounce that right, but they will come in for Gamertag, so I believe that's going to be a support swap out here. So Colosseo getting pulled out as the next map, Jesse, to me, this feels like a curveball.
A little bit, I would say. I mean, I would have been really surprised if we saw, like, Saravasa or, like, New Junk City. I think if we saw Flashpoint, I would have been, like, absolutely, like, flabbergasted. I think Push has been out long enough where teams probably feel comfortable on it. Over Escort, yeah, a bit surprising. Over other map types like Hybrid and Control that have already been played, because again, like, it can be played up to 3 times, so we could have just seen 3 Hybrid maps in a row for the last 3 maps of the series if it's a 4-0. But it looks like they have an idea of what they want to do in mind. They are going to be swapping up who their Lucio is to try to enable this Reinhardt on the side of SNHU if they stick with that. So maybe trying to play a bit of a different style. We did see them try to go away from Lucio, try to go to a poke comp. They played BAP. Kiriko, I think, at one point, too, tried to go double Emort comp, but still weren't able to get it done. So a new look. Staten Island, they're finally going to pull out their Winston. This is something that I'm really intrigued to see with those buffs that we had mentioned earlier on. The Tracer buffs as well from Bioactive could be huge. So I think on paper, Staten Island might have the stronger comp with these changes, but I am a bit shocked to see the Kiriko instead of the Ana.
Well, let's find out if Staten Island can make this one work. And so far, Bioactive, all headshots on that Meg. All headshots. All I heard was dings, and Bioactive is just going to keep this running. 3 final blows already. This Tracer might get a 4th one onto this Bastion already, which they will. Chongyun just getting the 5th one anyways, but it's a clean wipe. And this dive so far, it doesn't even need the Ana. It needs just Bioactive to run him down.
And if you haven't read the patch notes, it's only a 5.5 to 6 damage increase for Tracer, which might not seem much on paper, but when you're hitting headshots like that, and when you're just spamming at people like that, you just burst them down immediately. And that's exactly what Bioactive is doing. They're so close to their pulse bomb too. They've got great positioning also. They could try to go for a flank. Not sure if they know there's someone right below them. Now they know there's the Sojourn, and that might be lights out for fives, but they do power slide away.
Power slides away to the other ledge, so 29 meters before SNHU starts contesting, but they could push this even further. Dino Tank is down, and now it's going to be the Kiriko gone as well. It's just a rush down onto the Winston, but the rest of the cavalry does come. Cammy falls down to 100 health, will fall down as well, so this could very well be the turnaround fight that they want here. Yes, it pushes up to 41 meters, but a big part of your composition is down. Pulse Bomb use goes a little bit wide, finds is able to get Bioactive in the process, so with enough kills here, I don't think they have enough push and for the rest of it, so 42 meters is what they'll get before the Penmen take it.
Yeah, it's like a half dive comp, I would say, from Staten Island. The Tracer and the Winston have very high mobility, but usually you would partner that with an Ana and a Brig, and the Ana Brig would just play on cart, and then you could like heal from very far away, and then you'd have a Genji or someone else attached to that, an Echo maybe. But you can see like they really could only commit a certain amount of people to that high ground, and everyone else is just fighting on the low ground. They weren't able to actually stall that out long enough, but now they're going to commit a Primal Rage to try to get back onto this.
Cammy's already got a Primal Rage. Dino Tank's only at 60%, so the differential right now here is big, and that Soundbarrier comes up way too late. There's going to be the overclock, with the Primal Rage already catches fives, and Chongyun would also find their kills, and Chongyun on the Soldier now finds their second pick. So this is good so far for Staten Island. They will see more than 42. In fact, they might even get close to the checkpoint here.
And I mean, who doesn't play Sojourn on the side of Staten Island? We've seen both DPS do it. Maybe we'll see a support player pull it out next, but both are doing an excellent job. Like you said, I mean, if they get this first capture point, that's huge. They'd get a better spawn, but there is going to be a contest with the Kitsune Rush, and oh, this is actually getting dangerous.
Crimron's going to pull out the blade at the same time as the Kitsune Rush. Cammy, though, takes care of 5, so that should take care of the process. Cammy's still going. Cammy is still able to find 2 picks somehow, some way. And yes, Bioactive and Cammy both go down, but that's going to spell some trouble if they decide to quick fight this.
Yeah, that's going to be a possible recontest on the side of Staten Island if they're able to get all of their ducks in a row. Looks like they will be able to get back into the swing of things before the rest of SNHU gets back. But I do want to point out, they listened to me. I'm not sure if they're listening to the broadcast or what's going on, but they heard me say, you got to use the blade with the Kitsune Rush if you have it there. You saw the difference in the impact that it had.
Let's see what they play out for right now. Overclock's going to get popped out by 5. Finds nothing on the first shot. He's going to have to find a little bit more with all of 3 health left. Chongyun denying anything for that overclock for right now on the final blow. Dino Tank's able to get Mephisto in the background, but a 3-for-1 trade always signals a lineup here for that winning side, and only Dino Tank left to go. Staten Island only allowing 6 meters, but the push continues on for them.
And that's where you see those late eliminations from Staten Island really paying off. The cart never actually, or the push bot never actually gets to where the objective is. They never get to push it at all. They get 0 out of that. They do stall out a little bit, and they might just give up the inevitable, which will be potentially this finally being captured for that first point and that better spawn for the side of CSI. But at least for now, they're continuing on the high ground, but they lose 5s, they lose Crimrun.
They lose 2 already. They're going to lose a Lucio here as well. That Lucio's in so much trouble. Chongyun's just been going off. And in fact, there's the Lucio off the map for a little while. We'll try to wall ride up, and in fact, we'll ride to the rest of the team here. But this is just domination here from the Dolphins, and actually the Pendant have no answers. We're halfway through. Cammy's still hitting it, and they will get the first checkpoint.
Now you got to remember again, Dwum's coming in after not playing the last 2 maps, and that can be a bit brutal. You play if you're coming in cold, you know, it can be a little bit difficult to warm up. You're trying to play Brawl originally. Now you're playing kind of this dive hybrid comp. Post-on will miss from Bioactive, but they are still on the back foot right now. They are trying to find something here, and this push bot continues to get progress.
And the bigger the difference is, the taller the mountain is to climb all the way back. That's even if they get a chance to climb it all the way back. Chongyun at 5 health, that is going to go down all the way down to 0. Dwum's actually invest the sound barrier here to make sure that this team stays alive, and in fact, it wins them the fight, but that's such a big ult use that yes, they're going to get rid of Cammy, they're going to get rid of the rest of this team here. Cammy's still fighting those, able to get rid of Dwum, but at the same time, like I said, I think that sound barrier is a big investment.
It's a huge investment, especially considering that you just used the Primal Rage. So if you're worried about like saving your Winston specifically, they just got a whole bunch of health. So you don't need to use that sound barrier, but instead they use both at the same time, and now they have nothing that could counter potential overclock. Kitsune Rush would be thrown out on the other side. They still have a Kitsune Rush of their own, which I'm assuming they're going to try to once again combine with the blade, but there is going to be a sound barrier, but it is used actually before the blade goes off, so there could be an advantage, but no, just right into that overcharged railgun shot.
Yep, blade gets used. Kitsune Rush is going to be used. This blade needs to come up big. They trade 2 for 2 for right now. but there's no support line that can help them out because One Trick is gone. Dwum's just trying to stay alive, trying to just run around the map as much as they can for right now. Pulse Bomb is able to go on to Dino Tank. It's big. They swap on over now. SNHU realizes that they may not have enough healing. One Trick switching on over to the Ana instead of the Kiriko. Dwum's meanwhile will move on over to the Brigitte.
Yeah, now this is an actual dive comp. This is a traditional dive comp we're seeing come out from SNHU, but they lose 5 who's trying to contest the push bot while all this is going on. And like when that fight was still going on, they actually were moving the bot on the side of CSI. They had someone moving it as that fight was ending, so they were continuing to get more and more progress. That anti could be nice, but there's no follow-up.
No follow-up and no more on it either. No more supports. In the meanwhile, One Trick and Dwum's both go down. So 100 meters is going to be the difference in just a couple of moments here as this push bot continues on and on. Chongyun falling all the way down to a few points of health, but Fives will go down from what was about 5 health to 0 at the same time. Penman finding absolutely no answers whatsoever. Bioactive getting rid of Crimrun, and this is looking dire here, Jag.
It is looking dire. This could be a full capture. Cammy has the Primal Rage that could stay alive through a lot. Five's the only ultimate on the side of SNHU, trying to build up their own Primal Rage, but they already lost Worms. They've lost One Trick, no healing, and potentially no hope.
Well, but they have some hope now that Pulse Bomb's there. Crimrun's also in the back line, able to take care of Chongyun and Mephistoff. Meanwhile, Cammy is able to jump there and take care of Fives. The push bot approaches its final destination, as you hear Athena say. Question is, can they get there? Can they complete the map? Because the difference now 127 meters. Right, or 125 meters, I should say, for right now. As the push bot turns all the way back around, they kite off. They know that they have the 125-meter lead, so they are good with just backing off for right now.
And it's actually a really good play from SNHU. They win that fight in just the case of they kill the back line, or most of the back line, and then they have to back up on the side of CSI. They also take the bot through all of that, so they don't actually get any push towards the finish line for CSI. But now they can re-engage, and they get a huge Pulse Bomb.
Yeah, this huge Pulse Bomb onto the Ana. Big chunk of your healing down. It's up to the Brigitte. It doesn't have a rally either. Will not have a rally to stand for. And now it's just 3 more picks falling out. It's really just SNHU just cannot find an answer. Yes, they have the traditional dive, but they got to come up with something big here in the final 2 minutes.
Yeah, and again, like that push bot, it does get pushed back a little bit, so SNHU doing a good job at least playing the objective. They'll actually have a lot of ultimates here, so I'd expect them to win off of the Nano Blade alone. The Sound Barrier could come out from the side of Staten Island, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. So they're actually in a good position to at least keep this map alive.
Blade gets pulled out at the same time. Sound Barrier counters that for a couple of moments, and this Blade's going to go for nothing unless it swings only on Mephistoff for right now. Will swing onto Cammy at the same time. You want to talk a big play, maybe a big turnaround. That rally comes up at the same time. So they use the rally, they use the Primal Rage, and they use the Blade. It does get them a fight win, a very expensive win, and that also an Ana boost too.
Yeah, that costs too much. You return in that at the store if they trying to ring you up for that much, because that is so expensive for ultimates in a situation where you basically need to win fight after fight after fight. You've got to get it towards the end of your opponent's spawn. This push bot, it's still on your side of the maps, and you're seeing this Tracer still being a nuisance, still contesting it. You do end up taking up Bioactive, so that's nice, but they're still contesting it. They're continuing to put bodies on the cart, and that's just going to continue to stall time, kill off the clock. So this is really well played by Staten Island, even though they're losing members. They still have gotten it so far. You see where that push bot actually is, nowhere near the actual first capture point, and then they get a pick themselves. So, SNHU, they gave up a lot of what could have helped them win this map. It's still winnable. They could still turn this around and still win it out, but it's going to be very difficult.
First time since about 7.5 minutes that they've crossed it back to midfield. This is all Staten Island right now, and they're going to use the Kitsune Rush alongside of the Primal Rage. As they've got 1-for-1 trade, but Cammy and Chongyun just going to juggle around this Brigitte for right now. Pulse Bomb, though, was able to land on Chongyun. It's a 3-3 scoreline, and the spawn points are back to even. So right now, what's the call here? I mean, you have to contest, but Noob is able to find 2 onto both of the DPSs. The Kiriko bloodthirsty right now for Staten Island. 4 seconds left to go. Somebody's got to find a way to contest. Is anybody going to be able to? It's just going to be the Ana that drops down for right now. Also the Lucio. So it's going to be a support supremacy that wins out their fight for right now. As the overtime clock starts to bleed out, it will get back to the checkpoint area. So the spawn runs now back in favor of Staten Island on their side of the floor. It's going to be the cleanup right now as Pulse Bomb available for Bioactive. There's going to be the Nano Boost onto the Winston for right now. Is it going to be enough for right now? SNHU kites them off for a couple of moments.
Yeah, you see they're able to at least get the teleport out of the Kiriko. Then she ends up falling, but there's still so much pressure in the back line on the Ana. So support for support traded. This fight, as they all have been going, are just going back and forth.
Goes back and forth. Soundbear is going to be invested by Mephistoff. This may be the one that turns it all. Chang'un's able to get Dino tanked down, and now that's a big one. Your Winston's down. Your Lucio falling oh so low, and the Tracer just needs to track him down. The Echo there just to try to contest, but it's going to be all but over. The clock bleeds out. Staten Island on championship point as they win this in convincing fashion on Colosseo.
I think this might actually have been the most one-sided map we've seen so far. CSI, you know, they gave up the point a few times on Control, on Hybrid, on Blizzard World. Their defense, they had a good strong start. It was a little shaky on second point, still held out strong. Their attack looked really good, and they kept that momentum going from that attacking side that they had on Blizzard World here onto Colosseo. It just looked so clean. They don't get the full capture, and I think that's like maybe the one thing you want. You want to finish the map yourself to really have that edge competitively, to really feel good about yourself going into what could potentially be your final map. But other than that, they played it so well. The fact that they forced out 4 ultimates from SNHU in that like third to final fight was, again, I think a big difference maker. They knew how much they got them to spend on that. They knew how much resources they had to use just to be able to crawl out of their own spawn side. And once you know that, you know, hey, we don't have to use that many ultimates ourselves. We can save some of them. And they lost their Kiriko, but they still had Sound Barrier to help carry them through that last fight. Those temporary shields were enough to sustain them through all of that. And now, one away from their second championship in the ECC.
One away indeed. They have the 3-0 final scoreline so far between the 3 maps. 2-0 on Oasis, 2-1 on Blizzard World, and a 1-0 on Colosseo, almost completing the map at the same time. Staten Island on championship point. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll see if the Dolphins can take the championship or if the Penmen can bring it back. You're watching the ECC championship right here on ESU and ECC. Welcome back, everybody, inside of the booth alongside Jack Klutchke with you as it is 3-0 in favor of the Staten Island Dolphins team. Just one more map away here in the best of 7, first of 4 to get the ECC championship, for the first time here since fall 2022, rather. So it's been 2 semesters since they last had it, but they beat NYIT there 3-0. So fall may very well just be their season here, Jag. And right now, sitting at a 3-0, almost just one more away. We will head into our next map in a couple of moments. Just realizing here that our subs coming in, Phobic in for Mephistoff. So that is actually a Staten Island support swap that I did not expect, though. And Gibraltar will be the next map.
And before we get to Gibraltar and what that could potentially bring, I think we got to talk about one of the people who's leading the charge on the side of CSI. We highlighted him on map 1, but we got to bring him back into the equation. Cammy has been an absolute monster so far, and I think these stats will show you exactly how dominant he has been in this tank matchup. Almost 100 eliminations. The damage down the damage block is absolutely incredible. And we got to think about that last map on Colosseo. They started on Winston. It was a bit of a hybrid. I will say it wasn't a traditional dive. You did see the Sojourn. You did see a Lucio Kiriko. We're expecting them to actually probably run more of like an on a break, maybe an on a mercy with the swap of Phobic coming into the lineup. But seeing how well they've already played with Winston and how Cammy is probably going to play Winston on Gibraltar, which has always been a dive favored map, I am very scared for SNHU. And this was their map pick too. I think it would establish a lot of confidence for them to win on a dive map, knowing how good Cammy as well as CSI have been playing in this kind of dive hybrid. And I mean, this is the place you got to start the reverse sweep, if anywhere. But still, it is very dire for them. So this is it's a risk. We'll have to see if it pays off.
Well, let's see what happens here. By the way, Cammy stats for damage dealt between 3 games average 10,886 damage per round so far. So this Winston Sigma has just been so impressive from Cammy thus far. So we were talking about swaps earlier on. It is going to be, like we said, Phobic in for Mephistoff, but at the same time, you'll see something different here for Staten Island in a couple of moments, because you were saying last map where they could just, who knows who could be playing the Sojourn. Well, we know that Phobic is going to be now in for, instead of on the support side, we thought Phobic was going to go in for Mephistoff for the support line. Doesn't matter. Phobic's in as DPS. Bioactive now moves on over to support. So this is just a whole whirligig, if you will, of just supports and swaps for Staten Island. But hey, you can have fun up 3.
So I was wondering what exactly this change would be, and I was assuming it would probably want to be in more aim-intensive flex support. I thought it might be Ana. Maybe you swap Nuve onto the Brig, the Mercy, but instead, actually, they're not going to be running dive at all. They're going to be running, it's sort of a poke, sort of a brawl comp, I would say. Orisa is kind of that weird in-between. But the big thing I want to note is that they're running Yari Baptiste, and this is not something that they are a stranger to absolutely at all. This is something that I saw them run in their VOD. Quite a bit, actually. So this is like a tried and true comp that they have run quite a few times. And Bioactive can still do a lot of hurting on this Ilyari. She can still do a lot of damage as long as she's hitting headshots or body shots. Not so impactful. We're going to have to see how this works. I mean, they're going to be dived onto, so they kind of have to push SNHU back once that dive is initiated.
Oh, that's Genji falling also low. Good thing you had a deflect as well as an armor pack to help you out for a couple of moments. Still, though, 3 minutes and 40 seconds on the clock. 20 seconds elapses, and this payload moving around the first turn, so seeing if SNHU can finally find an answer. 5 falling also low. Already has to use the recall to go ahead and bring themselves back up all the way now. Good Bionade onto Phobic and Cammy. That's going to be countered out by Immortality Fold for right now. Nobody's able to go ahead and try to follow up on that. Meanwhile, Phobic and the rest of the team's going to have to back off. Bioactive's healing pylon's already gone, but for the trade that it's worth, Phobic's able to get rid of Krumron. This should start the beginning of the end fight here, because that Genji no longer gives you that dive potential kill for the execution.
You can see already SNHU, they don't want to push their luck. They get the cart pretty far on this first point underneath the bridge area. So that's pretty good trade, honestly. 1 life for all that room and space. But they have to find more than that. I think they have to fully take over this high ground and push Staten Island all the way off of it, which they have not been able to, despite what was a really nice anti-nade from One Trick. They got to hit a few more of those to really get a jump. It's that Dino Tank falls.
Dino Tank falls, and One Trick has the nano boost at the same time, so that Winston just gone, wasted away now, as Phobic will also take care of Crimrun yet again. The payload continues to move on, though. The Stracer trying to backcap them for all it's worth. Right now, already has to run away and back off. 2.5 minutes left to go. I mean, you have the nano boost, but that's about it in your tank.
Yeah, and there's going to be a blade on the other side, a Dragon Blade from Chang'un, as well as a Captive Sun from Bioactive. So 2 ultimates usually a bit better than 1, but we're going to have to see if this Nanoed Winston can get a lot of space, and they do get Phobic.
It does get Phobic at the same time. Chang'un pulls out the blade. No nano boost on it. No nano, no matter. Chang'un's able to find 2 already, looking for a 3rd onto this. Winston just has to go ahead and climb right on up, finding the Winston down and about. 3 kills for Chang'un. That nano boost didn't even matter.
And again, the cart, it has moved so far, but if you can't actually get the final capture point, it doesn't really matter how far it gets at the end of the day unless you get a full hold later on. So for now, SNHU, they see that they can at least get some objective progress, but not much more than that. The Blade purposely waits for the timing of that nano to finally fade off the Winston, and from there, they're able to win out pretty cleanly. Positioning, though, again, still a bit of a question mark. The nade is only going to hit onto the Winston themselves. So Dino Tank going to be held up, but not much more. And Fives falls.
Fives falls to the hands of Chang'un's dash execution. Chang'un will find a little bit more with the shurikens, and will just go right up against the Ana, who deflects the bio nade right onto one trick. Chang'un, what are you doing to him? You're just doing him dirty like that, and Chang'un's just going to fall away as this Winston has to back off. 60 ticks left to go on this clock, and the Pendant are looking at dire straits here.
Oh, that is such a huge pick. Chang'un is breaking some ankles and hearts right now on the side of Southern New Hampshire, getting that late stagger onto the Winston. The alt bank, it's still looking pretty good for SNHU, but Staten Island in the meantime, they have built up some things of their own. They're going to have the Orisa Terror Surge. They still have an Ant Matrix. The Bastion ultimate still ready to go. And all the while, this card is getting a little bit of progress, but they're so split on the side of SNHU.
Gotta find some way to win this, and that's not the way to start. Cammy's got the Terror Surge onto one trick. Didn't have any help there either. It's now going to be the push-up. Bioactive takes care of Dwum. Now, if you're Staten Island, you can get a chance at another fight here with 25 seconds left. You just got to back off already.
Yeah, but they have already positioned themselves on the cart. They have to go for this. The stick? What was that? I have no idea where that even came from. That was the stick of a lifetime. The Bioactive falls either way, and yet still, despite all of that, I think that there's actually going to be, they're going to be able to stabilize here.
They stabilize.
This Orisa from Cammy is just crazy.
They stabilize. 2 seconds left to go. They get the last second contest, but one trick is in so much trouble. You're not going to be able to save your support, and it's the beginning of the end. SNHU trying all that they can. Captive Sun comes out, is able to take care of Krimra. Blade just for something, but not going to happen from Krimrun either. It's the final countdown here for Staten Island to win the championship. SNHU can't even cap the first point.
And now I just really want to sing that, but I can't do that with a DMCA strike. So just imagine the song in your head, but the clock is ticking, the bells are ringing, and you can see, as you said, this could be the beginning of the end right here. The final countdown is definitely among us. And SNHU, they had the tools at their disposal, but Cammy just made such a smart play with this Orisa. Goes for the Ana, used the Terror Surge on them specifically to make sure that the main healing, that Nancy nade, all of that is offline, and SNHU has to go into that final fight 4v5. They do get a counter dive of their own. They do get the Baptiste, but it's just too little too late. They don't capitalize quick enough in that golden box of victory. It's not even a first point capture. It's a little bit before that. It's not even on the point A circle. You see exactly where it is. That is what is standing between Staten Island and another ECC championship.
They are just 78 meters away from getting that ECC championship. The East Coast Conference only that much further away from ending the season for the Dolphins. Who knows what could happen here on SNHU, but if you're going to hope for something, if you're a fan of the Pendant, you're hoping for some kind of miracle at this point, the way Staten Island has been playing. Staten Island pulls out the Widowmaker. The very first pick could very well determine what we will see out here from either team to start us off, but here we go. The Widowmaker trying to find the headshot to start us off. The Genji will have to use Deflector ready to get out of that, but the setup already intact.
I thought this would be just a quick pick attempt. You know, you go for the one shot, one kill, and then if you don't get it, you swap off immediately. But instead, they are keeping with it. Phobic actually going to be taken out pretty low. Maybe now is when they make the change. I don't think this is going to work into what they're trying to run, but they are sticking with it for the time being. They get the deflect out early on. but they're not getting a lot of progress, I would say, overall. You saw that SNHU got a lot of progress early, but they do get the pick on a Dwum, so that is going to be the go button.
That is the go button indeed. Everybody else will try to surround what they can. Phobic does go down low, but the payload continues to move on as they're trying to find something in the backline here. This Baptiste trying to escape with her life. Grimmer, though, is able to take care of Noob, so that's not a bad start. But somebody somehow has got to find a way to touch that payload, which they do for right now. With a difference being 21 meters, they try to back up the Sigma for right now. Sigma has to kite off.
Both these teams just are saying, hey, take the underneath of the bridge for free. Like, why even bother contesting? But what is going on?
I don't know.
Cammy is alive. Cammy is winning. That might be it. This might be the championship moment right here, right now.
They might
Can
have
anyone make it back?
Final moments coming in as they go around the turn. Somebody's got to touch here in the final 9 meters left to go. 8, 7, 6, 5 meters left. Bioactive takes care of one trick. The championship moments within their grasp. The golden box right in front of them. 1 meter left to go. The Tracer's the only one that can touch for right now. The Cuticle's just got to heal from the back. As 1 meter left, 5 does go down. Cuticle's going to have to touch the Winston. Just the only one left that has to find 5 picks in a miracle, but miracles won't happen today. Staten Island, the Dolphins have swept the entire series, and Staten Island is your Fall 23 champions of the East Coast Conference.
It was just meant to be from the start of the season. We talk about the Golden Road in League of Legends Esports. This was the golden split. This was the golden story. They never lost anything, if I remember correctly. I don't think they've dropped a single map the entire season. Definitely not in the entire playoffs. They have won everything. They have taken the whole league by storm, and it was just theirs from the get-go. We saw the build-up slowly but surely. That those first 2 maps, a little bit more back and forth, but Colosseo and here on Gibraltar, it was destined to be theirs. They did not give up an inch. I mean, they have a little bit of room on the cart, but they just answered back so decisively on their attack. And Cammy is going to be the story. I think we can talk a lot about the entirety of the team. Everyone had key moments, key plays, but Cammy stays alive, moving the cart the entire time, and then the rest of the team gets back there, and they just wipe SNHU off the board. I can't believe they got away with that, and that was going to be the championship-winning fight.
Like you said, the golden record, the golden season here from Staten Island. 9-0 overall record if you include the playoffs. 25-0 on the map record. Perfection, the name of the game for the Dolphins of Staten Island. And when we come back, we will see if we can get an interview from one of the team members of that golden team known as the College of Staten Island. We will be right back. Staten Island, one more time, your champions of the East Coast Conference. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, inside of the booth alongside Chad Clutchkey with you. A 4-0 series sweep, a golden season for the Staten Island Dolphins, who cap off the East Coast Conference Championship with one of their own. Joining us right now from that winning team is the Tank, and we would say overall MVP of the entire match. Cammy 101 joins us right here inside of the booth. Cammy, first of all, congratulations to you and your team winning this entire thing. And you were talking about it behind the scenes as well. As you can see the stats down below, 150 elimination, 36,000. But to you, that was pretty much any other day. But how does it feel to have any other day been an ECC championship in your hands now?
I mean, it feels great. For a lot of us, it's our first semester. A lot of people in our team, it's our first time doing, professional esports, and it feels amazing. I mean, we put in the work and the time and the effort, and it's amazing to see that just by consistently going at it every week, you come out and you can just win 4-0 like it's nothing against another team. I mean, it's something else.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys absolutely dominated today. And I wanted to ask, actually, because one of the first things you said when you came into our voice channel before we went live again was we were prepared. And I'm curious, what exactly does that mean? Was it practice? Was it VOD reviewing? Was it just the mentality you had going into the game? What was really that preparation that gave you the edge here?
I mean, for us, it's a lot. I actually have been doing a lot of reviews on. We do usually 2 scrims a week. We're doing a bunch of VOD reviews, and we fix it in within our schedule. Some weeks it's less, but I think what we really pride ourselves on is, we look at other teams and what they're doing, and we look at the games. And even when you win 3-0, you still look at what do they like to play, who are they going to play, and especially with a team like SNHU where they like to mix and match their rosters a lot. You have to know what's the difference between having this tank in and having this tank in, what comps are they going to play. So I think a lot of it really comes down to just writing the script ourselves and having it in front of us. Okay, they're going to play this map. Okay, this is what they're going to do on this map. And you could see today we didn't try to mirror them as much. We tried to play the comp we thought was better a lot of the time.
All right, you guys certainly did that. It was a perfectly written script for your team, absolutely, with that 4-0. I got to ask a question, though. One thing that we just learned after watching that matchup is that you, as well as Shungan, actually play on controller. So I got to ask, how is that, especially when you're playing against mostly mouse and keyboard opponents?
I got it right here, nice and purple, got my little rubber stick. And I mean, for me personally, I pride myself on the fact that Tank is a very, it can be very mechanics heavy, especially when you play Sigma and Junker Queen and those kind of characters. But you can beat other people by just being in better places mentally and knowing how the fight's going to go out. And I think one of the main things that I've had a lot of experience on is being an in-game leader and calling a lot of the rotations we do. And that's how I beat people on mouse and keyboard. I mean, I do it in ranked, I do it in this as well. It's just really all about having that better, I know I'm going to be able to outthink you when it comes down to it. And I know I'm going to be able to play a better comp.
Cammy 101 joining us here from the College of Staten Island again, winning the entire series 4-0, like you can see on the top of the screen. Okay, so last question for you here, and thanks so much for joining us again. But we have a little bit of a situation here where the rest of the ECC is going to have to watch out for you guys for quite a long time, actually, here, because he's talked about this while we were behind the scenes as well. 4 of you guys are freshmen, including yourself, Chongya, and Mephistoff at the same time, which all 3 of you guys played excellent gameplay. And then, of course, you talk about 2 sophomores. So with a roster total of 6 that aren't even past the sophomore level, really, I mean, how confident are you guys to go in from spring 23 or spring 24, I should say, and on in this Overwatch thing to kind of just dominate this entire season of ECC?
I mean, I think for us especially, and especially having, I got to give a shout out to Andrew because he's been here for a long time and he's really been for a lot of the new guys as well. We've had that ability where we've had this entire roster that came in, and at first, you could see it. We didn't really play as well with each other, and we were doing well in scrims based on our ability, but not as a team. But after we went to the CECC at Boston and we've done a lot of team bonding, I think that's what it comes down to a lot of, and we're very confident that going forward, we're going to keep scrimming every day. Off season is going to be, unless it's a holiday, I'm not going to make them do that. That would be mean. But I will, we're going to do 2 scrims a week still, and we're going to keep up with it because we do want to be here and we want to be aiming for the bigger tournaments too and going into other Blizzard tournaments or just local tournaments here in New York City.
Yeah, the young squad looking very, very good right now for College of Staten Island. The future looks bright for the Dolphins. They're getting the championship one more time. Cammy, thank you very much for joining us, and good luck to your team. Congratulations on the win. See you in spring 24, and we'll see if you guys can take home the cup there as well.
Thank you so much.
Cammy 101 joining us there from the College of Staten Island in an unbelievable series here overall, Jag. I mean, what do you make of this young squad so far that has just swept SNHU, and what do you make of their future here?
I'd be scared if I was in the ECC. You know, this is a dangerous team that has many years to go, and you heard it from Cammy themselves, like, you know, they weren't the team that they are today. They practiced a lot to get to this point. So the fact that they're this good, you know, in this like short amount of time, you know, over like the course of an academic year, just think about like 2 years from now, like what they're going to be like when they're all juniors playing together. So I really hope this squad sticks together, and I'd love to see them make a run at some of the bigger championships, bigger collegiate, you know, events that like involve the championship or collegiate community at large. This is a huge step. This is a huge win here, winning this conference, but there is more prizes out there that they could potentially go for in the future, and I hope to see them there.
Yeah, the ECC well in watch of the Staten Island Dolphins. Final score one more time. We give it to you. 2-0 on Oasis, 2-1 on Blizzard World, 1-0 on Colosseo, and Gibraltar a 1-0. Overall, the Staten Island Dolphins with the perfect golden season that we see overall. Special thanks goes out to our producer, Professor Layton, as well as our observer, Cool Scoots. For my partner and I, we thank you so much for watching. Coming up in about 45 minutes' time, we have right here on the ECC side, we have the League of Legends finals coming up between Southern New Hampshire, so the school gets another chance at a championship here. They take on Molloy University. Meanwhile, if you want to watch ECAC action over on ESU2, you can watch the League of Legends semifinals for the ECAC between Fisher College and Weber State University. For all of us here, thanks so much for watching. And again, the Staten Island Dolphins, your champions of the ECC Fall 23 semester. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care.
Holding on to this stock at 160.
Oh yeah, both of these guys are just decently heavyweight. Gonna be seeing very large percentages. And the back ear from Matt Fat Mansion to take it right there.
I see it too. Oh, good forward air tipper there. Hope should be able to recover from this unless you get countered. Dags with a huge opener there.
But Splat says, listen, I need you to get right back on stage. It's nice that you want to get here. You gotta go.
And the block, I think, actually helps Splat there. Again, falling because the second hit of that.
I didn't get to show out last time the way I wanted to. I'll do it.
He's all warmed up now, but he will drop that stock this time around. Gordo up tilt, a week where they went to set number 3 and fell in that previous series.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Oh, wow, what a down here. So that you can kind of slowly build up damage. And then your armored move will not connect with all the hits, so you won't get the kill. And then you die. Tries to go for a very early up B kill right there. And your shield looks like a Skittle, and that will be it. The forward smash should be able to take it and hope with the JV3 against Splat.
That I think if you can use Milkman to shut down a B-Rush, you're pretty happy with that, especially if they're rushing right in. Mental Athlete catches 2, looking for more. Chris will not be outdone. Make it 3 for Mental Athlete. Yeah, that was more. You're more than happy with that trade.
And that means no KJ utility either, no extra peaks. And there's a quick trade down. Hookah wins between the Omens. It's Ummo and uh-oh for Mars Hill, as that's going to be a Brooklyn College first map win. Players, just 1 shot left, probably 30 HP combined as Noodle gets traded. It's all up to Chris. Headshot necessary for Axite as he's trying to dance around the side, doesn't know where he's coming from. And Chris just barely secures it. I think 1 more second of stalling, and that's a Mars Hill round, so absolutely brutal. The concussion come through, flashpoints as well. This is an all-out brawl.
That's so much utility.
Ramp coverage. And everyone's here